Hi, this is Haley Bingley, and I am going to talk to you about blogs. My presentation is called All About Blogs, a screencast presentation. Let's talk about blogs. What is a blog? Well, the word blog is a shortened version of a web log. That's where we get the name blog. It's defined as, there's a couple of definitions here: a shared online journal, diary, news story, etc., usually arranged in chronological order. It can also be a personal website allowing creators to share their opinions, reflections, and personal stories. So basically, log means a journal or online record of some sort. So put that on the line. Online, it's called a weblog. There we go, weblog, blog. Next, how does it work? Well, the most popular free blogs out there, there's three free services that are listed as the most popular: Blogger, WordPress, and EduBlogs. I personally use Blogger, and I'll show you that in just a few minutes. So all of them work about the same. You have to create an account. It's a free account, but they still want your information, so you create an account with one of these services. You have options to pick a layout with backgrounds and where you want your text and your links and that kind of thing. And then you basically just start typing, and then you go from there. Excuse me, that was a sneeze in the middle of my presentation. I could start this over, but I'm going to keep going. Okay, so once you have your layout and everything, you just start typing different posts to your blog. After you get going, all three of these sites have more options where you could edit the HTML yourself, add gadgets or add-ons of things to enhance it. So let's look at a blog and talk about getting started. So here is my personal blog. If I go to design, let's first go to dashboard. You can see here is an organization of a bunch of different blogs. I really only update 2 of them. These are the ones that have just been created at different points of time. I also have a reading list down at the bottom where I follow a bunch of other blogs that are linked to mine. You can also subscribe to Google Reader if you have a Gmail account. That's helpful too. So if you are looking at my blog, you can see here that I have power to set this up and edit it how I want. I can add this picture on the sidebar. This was created using Flickr images. That's kind of a fun thing. I have links to my school blog and then some other things I've used for my MED courses. Links to other blogs here that I follow, and then you can see here's my daughter, and I mostly follow what's going on with her, recapping Thanksgiving and that kind of thing. So you can see that my blog has been going on for quite a while, back to 2007. So back to our presentation. What are the pros and cons of a blog? Well, the pros are blogs are extremely easy to use. Before starting my MED program, I really didn't have any concept of HTML or how web services worked, and I still, even after taking some courses, that's a little bit over my head. But a blog is a piece of cake, and so someone who only has basic knowledge of the internet and computer can do a blog. You can do a blog for free. You have power over your own content, it's your own forum, and you can do things at your own discretion. It also is a means of providing for discussion. As you can see, there's comments here. So mine, because this is a particular blog, you can see there's one comment, and it's a comment from my sister pretending she's talking to my daughter. But just kind of cute things like that you can do. The cons of blogs, the biggest con, and this is just where people need to use some discretion, is that your blog is online. There are services that you can, even within Blogger, you can make your blog private, and then you are limiting who can see it. But most blogs are public for everyone to see. So that's where people have to be careful what they're blogging about, what topics they're talking about, and you have to you open yourself up for being criticized and scrutinized based on what you're writing about. So that's something that is a con of a blog. Not everyone has something interesting to say. This is to say that some blogs are just really boring, and you might do a blog that is just not that interesting, and that's a con of a blog. Whereas something that gets printed in a newspaper or a magazine is going to go through an editing process where it's scrutinized by people who have writing expertise, and they're only publishing what's good. Your blog is just your own thing, so it might not be that interesting. And sometimes it's difficult to maintain. There's a lot of blogs of family members I have that I follow that they haven't updated their blog in months or a year or more, and that adds to the something interesting to say, but they can be difficult to maintain if your goal is to maintain it. Next, I wanted to look at some examples of some blogs. I've obviously shown you mine. There's an example of what I call a family blog. I also have just a novelty blog. I'm going to show you news blogs, and then we'll start talking more about education blogs. So first, a novelty blog. This is one that's kind of fun. It has Christmas cool and unusual things you can buy online, and it just is a person who created a blog to kind of highlight and keep track of different things that they're interested in. So here you can see these cool speakers, the camera lens mug, mouth teapot, crumpled city maps, an interesting circular calendar, and all sorts of unique things. So rather than searching the internet for all of these things, this blogger chose to put them all on one site. These business cards, it says Best Business Cards of 2010. These are sort of interesting too. Spin the wheel to see the information. Build a cardboard airplane out of the business card. Make a box out of the business card. So just some interesting things here that, this blogger chooses to highlight these things, and then they're found all in one place. Another example, let's look at some news blogs. If you go to the Salt Lake Tribune, there's a whole category here for blogs, and a lot of the Tribune reporters, and I don't know that much about it, but I imagine these people, some of them are only online and may not be regular reporters in the printed version of the Tribune. But here, if you can click on any of these blogs, there's a blog dedicated to University of Utah sports, and you can read these the entries here. There's a blog dedicated to, you can see all the bloggers here and the different topics. I was going to show you this one, another kind of novelty one, cheap and inexpensive things to do in Utah and the Salt Lake area. So, news-related blogs. Now let's go ahead and start talking about education blogs. This is one one blog I found called the U.S. History Teachers blog. It's a collection of resources: slavery survey map, historic newspapers website, museum box. Let me go back to my PowerPoint. How can blogs be used for education? Well, I split this up into teacher use and student use. As far as teacher use goes, you can collect on or record online assignments. You can post an assignment to a website, and students have to go to the website to complete the assignment, and it could be either posted as a comment or emailed to the teacher. Teachers can design screencasts such as this one or other kind of web tutorials to teach students how to do it, post links to YouTube videos that explain what you learned in class that day. Blogs are an excellent place for storage. You can put links to videos, photos, activities that you've talked about, and all sorts of other content. And if you store these with links on a website, then everything for your curriculum is all in one place. Blogs, or my personal blog, is also an excellent resource for absent students. It's where they can go to find homework assignments that they're missing. As far as student use, blogs pose a discussion forum where students can make comments in the comment section of the blog, and then other students can respond. This is kind of, if you were to have students set up their own blogs, you could have them respond to prompts and do writing practice, and then rather than collecting their papers, you just click through all of your students' blogs and read them that way. You can use it as a form of assessment where students can write something or post something, link to something, and respond to show that they've learned something. You can also have your students create portfolios, which would be similar to this storage, where they're linking to things that they have done and created to show that they understand what's going on. So I just wanted to quickly wrap up by showing you my blog that I use for school. I'm a math teacher at Murray High. First you can see a Go Animate cartoon that I posted, that I actually created in our course here. Then I have each of my students, my classes separated, my Algebra 2, U.S. History, and Basic Math Algebra B. And this is just a day-to-day listing of the topic that was discussed in class that day, and you can see for my math classes, I put a list of what the problem numbers they were doing, or a worksheet, and then I also put here links where they can link to a Google Doc and see the answers to a test review and that kind of thing, just as a means of study. So anyway, that's how I use a blog. I also have all these links on the side to different activities I've created, as well as ones I haven't created, just resources for students. So that's an example of one blog, and I think I've said enough, so that's it. Thanks. Bye.